Hello, and welcome to the third installment of the One Stop Technology webinar series. On this webinar, we're going to walk through how to create, complete, and submit a one-stop full application. So we're starting on the IGX dashboard. We're going to navigate over to the Start New Document panel and click the link that says One Stop Full Application. We'll agree to the language here. When you open the full application, you'll see a menu on the left side of the screen. At the top of the menu, you'll see an area labeled Forms. This is how you navigate to the various forms within the application. When you start, you are only going to see two forms. First, one-stop resources and applicant information. We're going to click into one-stop resources. So we know that there's a ton of information on the one-stop website that applicants may need when completing their applications. So we wanted to make sure this information was as easy to access as possible when our applicants needed it the most. Here you'll find guidance related to many of the topics that we've reviewed throughout our webinar series, including completing the full application, which we'll discuss today, understanding the development continuum, applicant eligibility, and links to program websites along with key dates and other important resources. So next, we're going to dive into the actual application with Form 1. So the application starts with applicant information. The information on this form transfers from application to application. So you'll see that everything's already filled in here because I've already completed this for a separate application. But this form basically asks for high-level contact information about the organization. You'll provide information about your organization CEO, the actual project contact, and just basic address information. The most important question here is organization type in question 1.2. This is where the applicant selects what type of organization they are. So first, you'll choose between public, nonprofit, or for-profit. If you're a public organization, you'll further specify what type. So here you can do municipality, redevelopment authority, regional planning agency, etc. So we'll just select municipality. Because this is already filled out, you can see that we have a check mark next to applicant information here, indicating that the form has been saved without errors. Because it's been saved without errors, we're now able to proceed to the next section of the application. So now we'll go into project information. So Form 2 project information is really the meat of the application. This is where we'll enter all details about the project. So, project name, project location, a short project abstract. So we're going to start by filling these out. So we'll just say, this is our test project. We'll select a location. You can just kind of search by typing. I'm going to choose Stoneham, and then I'm going to save. So now that I saved the form, you'll see that this attention box showed up. This box is telling me all of the questions that still need to be answered in order to successfully complete the form. I'm just going to hide this for right now. So you'll see that there's a note here telling you to save after selecting the project location. This is important because this will basically fill in this box of community designations. So here you can see Stoneham's a housing choice community. It's not rural. It's an MBTA community. This is all important because these designations dictate whether the project is a fit for certain programs. So since it's a housing choice community, the project has potential to be reviewed by the Housing Choice Grant Program, for example. So as you go through the application, you'll see all the boxes that are flagged on this attention box are highlighted in red, letting us know that we need to answer these questions. So we'll need to put in a project abstract. I will note that you can see here, there's a 500 character limit. Each text box will say the character limit. It's important to remember the character limit does include spaces. So it's not just the letters, it's spaces as well. So I'm just going to say this is a description of my project. And now I'll move on to question 2.4. This is the single most important question in the application. Question 2.4 is where the applicant indicates the type of project that they're proposing by first selecting a development continuum category. So in this case, I'm going to say that I have a building project. Then they choose a subsequent project type. So here I have the options to select either underutilized property rehabilitation or a housing production project. In this case, I'll do underutilized property rehabilitation and then a project focus. So I can choose either underutilized property pre-construction or construction. In this case, I'm going to choose construction. Some programs or some categories require a sub-focus to further specify what the project entails. So here I'm going to say that this is a building stabilization project. So again, because Stoneham is a housing choice community, I'm asked whether I would like the application considered for the Housing Choice Grant Program. In order to receive funding through the Housing Choice Grant Program, I'm going to need to complete an additional form, Form 2A, Housing Choice Additional Questions, but I do need to opt into that. So I'm going to say that I do want this project to be reviewed by Housing Choice. Now I'll save the form. And now you can see that Form 2A, Housing Choice Additional Questions, is available to me. If I switch it back to no and save, and now you can see that Form 2A disappeared from the menu. You also see here that we highlight which programs are most likely to review the application. So in this case, it's the Underutilized Property Program. If I click the link, it'll take me to the UPP website. Just quickly scrolling through, we're going to go through the project core, so project narrative, scope, anticipated outcomes. I will pause on this project impacts table. This is where the applicant will indicate kind of what they expect to their project to result in terms of housing, commercial, or employment impacts. This table will change based on the type of project being proposed. And you do need to enter a figure into each field, but if it's not applicable, you can just enter 0. We then have our budget table, which also changes based on the type of project. Then a quick community description and a question about environmental sustainability. So this is what we call our core section. This is where the application ends if you're submitting either a community activation and placemaking or planning and zoning project. However, if you have a project in the building, site preparation, or infrastructure categories, there will be additional questions. So this is a building project, so we're going to continue. Versus the climate design resilience standards tool. This will be required for building and infrastructure projects. We do have resources available to help you to help walk you through what you need to do for this question. And now we're getting into our site information section. So just general information about the site. We have an option for a question for site plan and construction drawings, site ownership, expected end use. And then we get into our additional questions. So again, site preparation, building, and infrastructure will all have a series of additional questions that are specific to the project. So here in the building section, we're going to be asked questions about the actual structure in question. So, is it vacant? What year is the property built? And other information, is it being used for its highest and best use? Is it condemned? Are the property taxes current? And then we have some construction questions here as well. So again, site preparation will have questions specific to a site improvement project or a brownfields project. And then infrastructure will have its own set of questions. After we get through the additional questions, there's a section at the end for additional and optional attachments. So this is where you'll upload any documents that you'd like the reviewers to see that were not required throughout the application. So this is where you'll put letters of support, site images, or really any other document that you want included in your application. So I will go through and complete this form so that we can get this check mark. and we'll move on to the certification. So now we're on the certification of application submission authority. This is simply a signature page stating that the person submitting has authority to do so on behalf of the organization. And now I'll click the save and submit button. I ended up getting this pop-up telling me that because I have an errors on form 2, I'm not able to submit. So now I'm going to go back to form 2. You can see here I have this exclamation mark next to form 2 telling me that the form contains errors. If I look at the attention box, I see that the grant request is required. So I'm just gonna, I forgot to put in how much I'm asking for, which is important. So I'll say I'm asking for $100,000 in construction with another $50,000 in consultant fees. You can see here it totals 150,000. Then I also need to answer the current zoning. So I'll say that this is zoned mixed use. And now I'll save. And now you can see that that exclamation mark turned into a check mark. So all of my forms have been saved without errors. So now I'm ready to submit. So now I'll go down to the bottom of the menu on the left side of the screen since I'm in form 2, and I'll click submit full application. I'll say that I'm sure that I want to submit. And you can see now my application is moved to application complete submitted status. I will note that only users with a grant administrator role have the ability to submit the application. They are also the only ones with the ability to create a new application. Users with grantee staff or consultant roles are able to work on the application and save it, but again, cannot create or submit an application. So now I'm going to go back to my dashboard. So now back on my dashboard, if I scroll down to my documents, you can see that here's the application I was just working on. It's in application complete submitted status. If I want to go back into any of my other applications, I can simply click the links and it'll take me right back so I can continue working. So thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions while you are filling out your application, please don't hesitate to reach out to onestop@mass.gov and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.